Hello everyone and welcome. This is part 15 of my 18-part video series where I'll be reading passages from my autobiography, Odd Man Out, True Stories of a Gay Black Swimmer. As always, I want to start off by thanking everyone who has subscribed to my channel, who have been following me since part 1 up until now, part 15. And for those of you who may have started in the middle, you can catch up by going back to part 1. There are links to all of the past 14 videos in the description box below. And there's also a link in there to buy a signed copy of my book for only $20. Um, and as some of you are probably aware, those who have been following me and those who have bought the book, I think some of you have bought it on other online sites such as Amazon.com. That's great. Um, any way you want to get the book is fine with me, but just know that there's only one place you can get a signed copy, and that's in the link below. So, on to chapter 14, and this chapter, not my happiest chapter in the book. I turned 30 and I wasn't real happy about turning 30, and I start the chapter by pretty much saying that. Um, just turning 30 for me meant a major change in your life. You know, when you're in your 20s, you're in college or you're just out of college, and you pretty much feel like you have your whole life ahead of you. When you're 30, you feel like you have to get things done. You have to be a responsible adult. You have to have a full-time job and a life that you love, and married, and um, for those of you who are straight or even those of you who are gay, you know, you think you want to have kids as well. And a lot of those things, actually, none of those things I had when I was 30. And I was kind of disappointed, a little depressed about it, but, um, I kind of surged ahead believing that one day it was going to happen. And there was another thing that happened when I turned 30. I went to the doctor, as I do every year on my birthday, and I'm going to read to you what happened during that visit. When I visited my doctor in February for my annual birthday checkup, the furrow in his brow began to worry me. He didn't like the way my blood pressure readings had skyrocketed in the past year. The blood pressure reading from the nurse read 120 over 110, which he said was very unhealthy and surprising given my diet and exercise. He took another reading and it was nearly the same. We talked for about a half hour about my lifestyle. I had told him I was gay, but he knew I practiced safe sex, and I always took steps to eat well. Certainly, I didn't need to exercise more. He suggested a stress test, but I was worried that many people had died recently while performing that test. Because I ate well and was in above average physical shape, he wanted to see if the high blood pressure was genetic and if my current life had exacerbated the condition. I broke down and told him I had days where I was so tired I could hardly concentrate, that I wanted to spend entire days in bed and not see the sunlight. He didn't want to call it depression. He wanted to see if a change in blood pressure could have a positive effect on my moods and tiredness. When he recommended that I start taking pills for my blood pressure, I got very nervous. I just turned 30 years old. No one that young should get the news that they will be on medication for the rest of their lives. Plus, I was scared that I would forget to take the pill each day. What would happen then? Despite my fears, I agreed to start the medication. I took 2 pills every day. One pill was called lisinopril, and the other was hydrochlorothiazide, or HCTZ. The latter is a diuretic, which meant that I was going to the bathroom 3 times more than normal for the first month I was on the medication. Because the pill worked hard to force all the water out of my system and thereby thinning the blood, I got frequent headaches. Some days the headaches were of migraine strength, and it made the days worse. I wanted to get off the pills and try something different, but I agreed to give it 3 months, the normal time period for the body to adjust to new medication. As the winter of 2004 turned into spring, I did notice that workouts were getting more manageable, but not to a degree that I felt like the pills were having a positive effect. Within a month of taking the pills, I began to feel lighter in the water. My recovery rate after hard sets had improved so much that it only took about a minute for my heartbeat to return to normal instead of the usual 2 to 3 minutes. My body was working overtime to cleanse itself and thin my blood, so I was still tired every day. but I knew I was on the road to wellness. So you have to read my book, Odd Man Out: True Stories of a Gay Black Swimmer, to kind of learn more about how the blood pressure medication started to take effect on me, all for the better. That's going to do it for today's edition. Thank you, as always, for joining me, and I'll see you soon for part 16.